The Curse of Bhangarh. Chapter 1. The Forbidden Gates. In the heart of Rajasthan, hidden between the Aravalli Hills, stood the infamous Bhangarh Fort. The villagers nearby spoke in hushed voices about the curse that hung over the fort, warning travelers never to stay beyond sunset. The fort's dark history was woven into the fabric of the land, a tale of lost souls and unfinished destinies. Among those intrigued by the legend was Arjun, a young archaeologist with an insatiable curiosity for the supernatural. He had read countless accounts of Bhangarh's eerie past and dismissed them as exaggerated folklore. Determined to prove that there was no truth to the myths, he gathered his closest friends, Riya, Kunal, and Mira, for an overnight exploration of the ruins. As twilight set in, they reached the fort's entrance, its massive stone gates looming ominously against the blood-red sky. The moment they crossed the threshold, a sudden gust of wind swept through, carrying with it the distant whispers of the past. Arjun shrugged off the unease settling in his chest, chalking it up to nerves. The group split up, eager to explore. Arjun set up his recording equipment in the main courtyard, while Riya and Kunal wandered into the ruined chambers. Mira, hesitant and uneasy, stayed near the entrance. Her grandmother had warned her about this place, and every bone in her body screamed at her to leave. Then, as the clock struck midnight, the fort came alive. A chilling whisper snaked through the air. The ground trembled. The shadows stretched unnaturally. Then came the scream. Chapter 2. The Shadow of the Princess. Mira's scream sent the others rushing to her side. She stood, trembling, pointing toward the temple ruins at the center of the fort. "I saw her," she gasped. "A woman in a black veil. She was watching me." Kunal scoffed. "You probably just saw a shadow. This place is full of them." But Mira shook her head vehemently. "No, she was real." The air inside the fort grew colder, a creeping chill that seeped into their bones. The flickering light of their torches struggled against the pressing darkness. Shadows stretched unnaturally, twisting along the walls like grasping fingers. A strange sensation settled in, as though the very ground beneath them pulsed with ancient energy. Arjun, eager to find logical explanations, led the group toward the temple. The moment they stepped inside, the atmosphere thickened, suffocating and heavy. It felt as though invisible eyes were watching their every move. The scent of burnt incense and something metallic, almost like dried blood, lingered in the air. Mira clung to Riya, her breath coming in short gasps. "She was standing right here," she whispered, pointing toward the altar. "I swear it." The temple was silent, but the silence was unnatural, as if the structure itself held its breath. The old stone walls bore the scars of time, cracks running like veins across their surface. A sudden scraping sound echoed from above, making them all freeze in place. Then suddenly, an invisible force struck Arjun, hurling him across the stone floor. He crashed into a pillar, knocking the breath from his lungs. As he struggled to sit up, his vision blurred. Through the haze, he saw her, a woman draped in a flowing black veil. her sorrowful eyes locked onto his. "You shouldn't have come," she whispered. The moment she spoke, the torches flickered violently, and an icy wind howled through the temple, extinguishing the flames entirely. Darkness swallowed them whole. A deep, guttural whisper filled the chamber. "You do not belong here. Leave or suffer." A hand brushed against Arjun's shoulder. He turned sharply, but there was no one there. A scream tore through the air. Then, silence. Chapter 3. The Vanishing. Arjun woke with a gasp, his head pounding. The temple was silent, but his friends were gone. Panic gripped his chest as he stumbled to his feet, his voice echoing in the vast emptiness. "Ria! Kunal! Mira!" No response, only an eerie silence, the kind that seeped into his bones and weighed down his very soul. Then he heard it, the sound of footsteps echoing through the stone corridors. Slow, deliberate. He turned sharply, his breath hitching. The woman in the black veil stood a few feet away, her presence both ethereal and terrifying. Her eyes bore into him, hollow and endless, as if staring through time itself. "Where are my friends?" Arjun demanded, his voice unsteady. She tilted her head, a ghostly whisper escaping her lips. "They are lost in time. And so are you." A sudden, shrieking laughter erupted from the depths of the fort. The walls seemed to shift, the structure itself warping and twisting. The exit was gone. The temple had transformed into a labyrinth of corridors, each passageway darker and more menacing than the last. A whisper slithered through the air. "You mustn't have come." It was layered with voices, many voices, speaking in unison. Then from the darkness a hand grabbed him. "Run!" It was Kunal. The two bolted through the endless maze of corridors, their footsteps echoing wildly. Shadows lunged at them, grotesque figures flickering in and out of existence. The sound of whispering voices and dragging footsteps followed them, growing louder with every passing second. They turned a corner sharply and stopped. Before them, suspended in the air, was Mira. Her eyes were wide, her mouth moving soundlessly as unseen forces pulled at her limbs. Her body twitched violently before vanishing into the darkness with a chilling shriek. "No!" Rhea cried out from somewhere beyond the walls. "Help me!" Arjun and Kunal pressed forward, running blindly toward her voice. The air grew thick, suffocating. The walls trembled, dust falling from the ceiling as the fort itself seemed to awaken, displeased with their presence. Then, suddenly, they found themselves somewhere else entirely. The walls around them no longer bore the scars of time. The torches lining the corridors burned brightly. Voices, real voices, echoed through the halls. People dressed in regal garments moved past them, their faces carved with worry. Kunal stumbled back, his voice barely a whisper. "Where the hell are we?" Arjun swallowed hard, his throat dry. "I think we're in the past." And then they saw her again. Princess Ratnavati. This time, she was clear, her beauty undeniable, yet marred by sadness. She approached them, lifting her veil, revealing eyes that held centuries of sorrow. "Only you can end this," she said, her voice echoing through the stone walls like a forgotten melody. A deathly silence followed. The fort had claimed them, and the nightmare had only begun. Chapter 4: The Ritual of Blood. Trapped in the past, Arjun and Kunal watched helplessly as priests prepared a gruesome sacrifice. Mira, bound and unconscious, laid atop an ancient altar. The torches flickered wildly as a guttural chant echoed through the temple, their voices merging into a dreadful symphony of doom. The high priest, clad in blood-red robes, raised a jagged dagger, its edge glistening under the dim torchlight. Arjun struggled against the invisible force that held him rooted in place, his voice strangled in his throat. He could hear Mira's ragged breaths, the slight twitch of her fingers as if she were fighting against the unseen force that held her captive. The temple walls pulsed with malevolent energy, the murals shifting, depictions of torment and betrayal flickering like a nightmare coming to life. The priests circled the altar, their eyes vacant, their mouths moving in perfect unison. "Blood must be given, the curse must be sealed," they chanted, their voices reverberating through the chamber. But then, a sudden, deafening scream erupted from the shadows. The torches flared with a blinding intensity before plunging the temple into complete darkness. A gust of icy wind tore through the chamber, snuffing out the chants like fragile candle flames. The high priest staggered back, his dagger slipping from his grasp. "Something is wrong," he rasped, his eyes darting wildly. "The spirits, they resist!" His words barely escaped his lips before unseen hands clamped around his throat, lifting him into the air. His screams were swallowed by the darkness as his body convulsed violently before dropping lifelessly to the stone floor. The shadows thickened, twisting into grotesque forms, their hollow eyes locked onto the remaining priests. One by one, they were dragged into the void, their wails of agony reverberating through the chamber. The curse had awakened, enraged by the interference of mortals. Arjun finally broke free from the force holding him, stumbling forward. He reached for Mira, his trembling hands fumbling with the restraints. "We have to get out of here," he gasped. But the altar beneath her pulsed with energy, an unseen force pushing him back. Then, a whisper. "You cannot stop it." It came from all around them, a voice that belonged to no one and everyone at once. The air grew thick with the scent of burning flesh, the walls weeping dark rivulets of something viscous and red. Mira's eyes shot open, but they were not her own. A deep, unnatural glow flickered within them, her lips parting to speak in a voice that was ancient and unforgiving. "It has begun." The temple trembled, cracks snaking across the floor. A horrific scream erupted from Mira's throat, deafening and inhuman. The darkness swelled, swallowing them whole. The ritual had failed. The curse had been unleashed. Chapter 5: The Curse Unleashed. The past and present collided as Arjun discovered the horrifying truth behind Ratnavati's death. The fort had been cursed, not by sorcery, but by betrayal. The air around him crackled with an unnatural energy, the walls warping between ruin and their former glory. Shadows flickered, taking the shape of people long lost to time. Whispers of the past echoing through the corridors. Arjun stumbled forward, his vision blurring as fragmented memories flooded his mind. He saw a young Ratnavati, her eyes filled with both sorrow and defiance as she pleaded with someone unseen. He saw the sorcerer not casting a spell but warning her of the treachery that lurked in the shadows. And then he saw it, the true moment of betrayal. It wasn't magic that had doomed Bhangarh. It was the greed of those closest to the princess. Her own court had conspired against her, sacrificing her to maintain their grip on power. A shriek shattered the illusion. Arjun turned to see Mira, no longer bound but standing eerily still. Her head tilted at an unnatural angle, her eyes glowing with an unholy light. "You see it now, don't you?" Her voice was layered, both hers and another's. "The fort does not seek justice. It seeks revenge." Kunal gripped Arjun's arm. "We need to get out of here now!" The ground beneath them cracked, ghostly hands clawing through the stone. The spirits of the wronged surged forth, their wails deafening. The air thickened, choking them with the weight of centuries